We watch anime.
We watch anime. I'm B,
I'm Bird.
and this is the Birds and the Beas, the segment where we talk about what happened because our last episode,
Was wild, and it wasn't even a whole episode. It was 5.5 hours long.
famous last words, we'll finish this tomorrow, I guess. That was a week and a day ago or something like that. At the time of this recording, I don't even know when this is going to come out. We couldn't do it live.
We don't even have phone service right now. We're out in the middle of nowhere.
The day after we recorded our last episode, we probably did a bunch of work, hungover, and pissed off, and then drove like 3 hours
Out
out
to the Dalles.
to...
That was where we finished. And then we drove an hour south to Ty Valley, I think.
We were close to Redmond, Oregon, which is basically the middle of fucking nowhere. I mean...
Oh, I'm talking about the cats first.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Ty Valley was where we stayed right
wow,
after.
I forgot
Dallas.
that we went somewhere before we went
stayed at
to
the
another
fairgrounds
place.
in Wasco County, I believe.
Yes, that was... We saw like 10 cats. You can see this on Twitter and Instagram. It was crazy. We just we showed up to this fairgrounds. They had like horses and cows nearby and stuff. But I don't know if they all belonged to like other people who were staying there in RVs or just random wild cats, but there were 10 of them and they all came up to investigate and say hi and play around.
Most of them seemed to be kids. They were hiding in our tent flaps. The only one I got to pet was the mom. I think it was the mom, I don't know. But very cute, all of them. I really liked having 10 cats appear. The next morning I saw 2 cats that I had not seen the night before, so there were at least 12 cats. And we saw a cow party because the farmer was honking his horn because he was feeding the cows.
I believe this was one of the cases of we went to a place in part because they advertised having Wi-Fi.
And showers.
And did they have... they did have showers.
They
but
were
I
coin-operated.
Wasn't up to taking a shower then. We eventually got to do laundry and then clean ourselves up or something. But and when we were there though, we I think the Wi-Fi just didn't work or something.
No, it was just really bad. It was really
bad.
spotty. If you went to the bathrooms, it worked a little better, but it was hard to tell where the Wi-Fi was broadcast from.
So the next day then we went to a place outside Redmond and we spent 2 nights camping out there or something.
Skull Hollow, right?
Skull Hollow. Yeah, maybe one night. I can't remember.
2.
This is all such a blur. Redmond is an okay town. It's outside of Bend, Oregon, which itself is by far the biggest town in what you might describe as Eastern Oregon. It is not in the eastern half of Oregon. Eastern half of Oregon is mostly a big fucking desert full of nothing. And there are small towns and stuff mostly on the northern part of it. Not a whole lot on the south. There is some stuff there's basically all up the western side of Oregon there is civilization. And then there's Bend kind of in the middle. And then there's the little towns up in the top and in the east, and then there's nothing in the south.
Southeast,
east of Oregon.
Well, there's Ontario, but that's right on the border of Idaho.
So, being out in Bend, you're pretty close to being in the middle of nowhere. You feel like you're in the middle of nowhere as soon as you leave town, and it takes 3 hours to get to the next notable civilization. So it really is its own little pocket. And we'd been there before. We would end up being there again for our next work cycle in the next week. And
it's fine.
So we've been taking most of our weekends to camp. And when we're camping, we don't have usually consistent internet access. And I really was hoping we would be able to do the follow-up episode live because we did the first half of it live. And it's really awkward to have the videos released as 2 halves in totally different formats.
No, just edit them together.
This continues to be the internet's most chaotic anime podcast. And I was really coming to terms with last weekend, the fact that okay, well, I don't know if I want us to do it as a recording or do it live. And I really just was feeling man, part of what I was dealing with is that in going into a new season of anime, I saw it as like, this is an opportunity to really advertise ourselves to a new group of viewers. There's new shows starting that we're going to get to talk about,
which we are going to talk about this episode.
Yes,
I swear.
New shows with their own new audiences that will be investigating our channel to find out our opinions on these new shows. And we ended up talking for 5.5 hours about almost everything
except for the new shows.
Well, not the new shows, but the shows we were supposedly talking about. We did talk about a lot of other anime. You spoiled a bunch of other anime at a drunken frenzy.
Like what?
True Fox 1 is really upset. Says,
which
why
anime
can't
did
Bird
I spoil
just shut
the
the fuck up about the spoilers?
I don't remember this.
You just kept spoiling things. You were like out of control, like just like, I'm gonna spoil everything.
Go me.
So I want to bring up a little bit I want to do a little spoiler discourse because I feel two ways about this.
Sure.
I'm not trying to piss off our fans. True Fox 1 gives us money.
That is fair.
I don't want...
My bad.
And spoiling random other shows when you're talking about a show is kind of a dick move, I think, because nobody can see it coming. But I will also say this. I don't give a fuck about your precious spoiler crybaby bullshit, because first of all, psychologically, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really affect your experience of the media that much to know what happens before you see it.
At the end of the American television show Psych, Sean Spencer and Juliette O'Hara get married. Or something like that. I don't know. They end up a couple.
Pretty obvious, probably, that could have happened in that show. But, like, it just... Well, okay. I mean, there's literally been scientific studies about this. I'm sure this has been brought up before, and some of you have probably heard this. But, like, there is science behind... They double-blind tested people about their experience with or without having been spoiled for stuff. And by and large... people actually like stuff more when they've been spoiled for it because they understand what the fuck the stuff is setting up for.
Yeah.
Like, generally, if you see a bunch of information that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, and then you're just kind of like, well, what was that about? Well, what's this about? And then eventually something happens, you don't necessarily remember all of that shit that you didn't understand and then suddenly go, oh, now I get why that happened. Unless you are, like, obsessively coming back through the show, like, you're really hype, going in on it, like... And I guess some people maybe are doing that and they, are at that level of emotional investment. But, like, I think when you know that something's going to happen, it means that you're paying attention to all of the details. You really get that full emotional investment. And then when the moment hits, it hits that much harder if it's done well.
Yeah.
And if it's not done well, then obviously it was never going to hit in the first place. Nobody would be talking about it. There's tons of things that I have only investigated because of a spoiler, because I learned that something interesting was going to happen in the story. And usually when those spoilers get out there, those stories grow massively. When something traumatic happens, people talk about it, and then more people want to see the thing because they want to know if it's going to have the same effect on them, and usually it does.
That's why Funimation released a clip of Gear 5 Luffy.
Exactly. They wanted people to know that this thing happens because without context, yeah, it's cool, but you don't know what the fuck is going on. It takes so much context to learn what's going on that to really spoil the emotional effect of that scene, you would have to consume like a tremendous amount of One Piece lore to the effect that you are now basically reading One Piece.
Yeah.
Which you did.
No.
You didn't do that.
I have a brief understanding of what the gears are.
We might end up having to read One Piece because we have a manga podcast. We read manga. The first episode of that came out last month, I think, on the Patreon for people who pay $15 a month or more, and they have submitted their picks for what manga they want us to read next. I have not run the poll yet. I will be running that as soon as we get internet access again and actually can release this episode and I can update stuff on Patreon. But yeah, there will be a poll, and one of the entries from Amy Talks Anime is One Piece. So if
Oh
that wins
no.
the poll, then we have to read One Piece one volume at a time. At the rate of whenever the hell we get these goddamn episodes out. We also release
So
bonus
I'm
episodes.
gonna be reading One Piece for the rest of my life potentially.
Yeah, maybe it could happen. I mean, it's happened to many people. It's happened to a lot of people.
I'm gonna start just reading all of it and
But
talking about
the
it.
reports are usually good. I mean, I'll tell
It's
you,
probably fine.
I've read like 160 chapters of One Piece, and I would say that 100 chapters in is where I started. I thought it was really starting to get good.
Uh-oh.
And then I kind of got into like a really big arc, and I was like, I have other things to do in life than continue reading this for weeks on end. But I will one day, if forced.
To
Definitely.
read One Piece.
Yeah, I mean, it should end someday in the next 5 years or something. So it doesn't seem like the wrong time to start. Anyways, yeah, so we spent the weekend out in the woods, and then every opportunity we've had that we could have done this podcast has been right after we were doing an enormous amount of driving and work. We last week did enough work to make enough money for Bird to outright purchase a Alienware laptop.
Hey. I got a nice new laptop. It's great.
Which you've been dreaming of owning since you were...
Oh, I wanted an
child.
Alienware because my mom had one, and it ran World of Warcraft really well. I've never played World of Warcraft.
She got an Alienware and bought everyone else like cheaper laptops, and so that she could game on it. Based obviously.
Of course, yeah, something I would do.
And so, we had been using the Asus Zephyrus, which is itself a great laptop.
Except for its heating problems.
It does have kind of heating
Cooling
problems.
issues, I mean.
It's not necessarily the ideal gaming computer for doing it at high level, and especially for streaming, which you want to try doing with gaming at some points.
Maybe.
We did one like a few weeks ago randomly one time. It's hard for us to get good internet though, and so we just the scope of the work we were doing though was enough that it was literally 1 week of work, purchased the highest end consumer grade laptop that is easily
accessible at Best Buy
in America. And so
it's nice. I like it. Cyberpunk looks awesome.
There are times where
I beat Armored Core.
Like when we have downtime such that I could work on like back end parts of the podcast, there's nothing for Bird to do, especially if he wants to like play video games. So I was like, we really need you to have a gaming laptop so that I'll be able to like actually get the podcast done at other times. But this week, frankly, we just were driving so fucking much and ending up in weird places that had bad internet and, dealing with job organization.
We've traversed most of Oregon this week.
Yeah, like twice over, basically.
Yeah.
And also there's a lot of logistical stuff with our job. Like things were less complicated once when we were just doing like one block of work for 4 months. Hey. Now we're doing like jobs, random things. This is easier. So it is yeah, we've been getting paid more to do less, but the organization of it is more complicated.
That's like the Home Depot's thing, right? Pay more, do less.
Something like that. And so maybe the opposite of that or something. Pay less, do more.
That's the weakness of Home Depot.
Yeah. So yeah, basically that kind of duplicated. We drove from. Well, I think we had gone back to Portland after the weekend, and then we had to drive from Portland all the way across Oregon through the. We went south.
We went from Portland to Medford on the 5.
No, before that we went all the way out to John Day and all that, and to Halfway.
Oh, we're back there. Okay, so
I'm saying on the weekend we went Portland, halfway across Oregon and came back. And
Redmond and Bend.
We went all the way across Oregon.
John Day
and
halfway.
Back. And
back
then we went
to
down
Portland,
Oregon, and then we're gonna go
and then
back
down to Medford. Oh yeah, and now
because we got to
going
work
to
in Washington next on Monday. So, yeah, we're all over the place, all over the goddamn state of Oregon, which is very pretty and full of nice things. We saw Crater Lake today.
It was
awesome. We're out by
I wanted to swim
Crater
in it,
Lake
but that's
right
not
now.
a thing that looks possible.
Yeah, we thought it was gonna be a thing because like it's known for its extremely blue color, which was definitely evident, although not as much as in some of the pictures of it from like the summertime. Everything was covered in snow,
which was awesome.
Which was very fun. We were trudging around through the snow.
Trudging through the snow.
Trudging through the snow, and the crater is really deep down, like a steep cliffside, and most
there's an island that is a volcano in the lake.
Yeah, so Crater Lake is the deepest lake in America. Apparently, some of the cleanest water in the world because it's only rainwater and snow runoff.
Yeah.
And it is like 2,000 feet deep, and it was originally a mountain, a 12,000-foot mountain that had a supervolcano underneath it, which exploded.
I think it was just a regular volcano.
No, it was called a stratovolcano.
That's the one.
A stratovolcano that exploded,
and then made the mountain collapse in on itself.
Literally blew the entire mountain up 7,700 years ago. Apparently, some Native American people saw this,
which is cool,
at the time, and told stories of it for generations to come. But yeah, it just collapsed in on itself and became a lake that's like nowhere near 12. Like looking at it, you can see how it kind of looks like an inverted mountain, but it's like, wow, how much mountain was lost? Like, where did all that mountain go? How far was that shit flung? Like,
it said it devastated the area around it when it exploded.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I guess it would be hard to tell, like, what is mountain chunks and what is part of the natural landscape now that stuff's grown over.
Well, because there's so many trees now.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it exploded with so many good minerals or whatever that there's a bunch of trees everywhere. And it's awesome. It's so pretty. I love snow on trees.
It's a really cool part of Oregon that we're in, with just tons and tons of forest, and we basically pulled up last night. We always end up showing up fucking just
around like 6 or 7
too
o'clock.
late to be pitching up a tent. But whatever, we were the only people here. We had our headlights on to do all that, and like it's the most like secluded feeling, like cold, dark, deep forest place where Bigfoot would be seen.
I felt like I was gonna get murdered.
Well, then we go into the bathroom and like I hold up the flashlight and there's like creepy ass graffiti on the walls, and I was like, oh my god, this is like a horror movie. Which I just thought was funny mostly. But
the other bathroom is literally an outhouse, which I kind of love.
And it has a definition of bitchcraft on it.
Pissing people off by telling them the truth, right?
Yes, and also the art of shitting.
The art of shitting makes it funny
by telling them the truth. So yeah, all of that, we spent so much time traveling and driving, and I'll tell you, like, you guys, you gals, you theys, everybody in our audience who has been listening to me for a very long time, that I'm like a detail-oriented type of a person, very analytical, tend to go a little too deep into every little thing. And for a lot of my life, I spent a lot of time trying to, I don't know, I stayed in this little corner of anime because you could learn everything about it to an infinite depth, but without ever having to really broaden your horizons beyond anime.
Or like ride your wave beyond your horizons in anime.
There's lots of hobbies that are very like insular, that are very like, if you get into this thing,
like down jackets. Oh, that's insulated.
Well, I mean, hiking is another thing that's kind of like this. Like, if you're really gonna get into hiking, you're gonna do a lot of it because it takes time to get to where you're going and prepare to be ready for it and like get all the gear you need and
Oh shit.
basically any kind of hobby or any kind of thing that people get into because they want something to, I consider all of it a little bit dissociative, but it can also be like it's like engaging with something, but it's also something that takes you away from reality. It's like it can contribute
and puts
to
you
reality.
more into reality also.
It can do that too. I mean, depending on what kind of hobby it is. I think.
I gotta go use the outhouse.
Okay.
I'll be quick. I'll run even.
I'm just gonna.
Wait, no, I'm Sonic.
Break the recording.
Oh my god, I'm so fast. I'm like Sonic. I'm back already. Can you believe it?
Wow, we definitely didn't stop.
Do you want to see me do it again?
No. Yeah. Well, so yeah, we worked, we drove, we traveled, we saw, and my tiny brain that picks up everything is not really. It's like we'll show up at like, the end of the day. We tend to drive to wherever we need to be the next day.
Yeah.
So like we'll finish our last site, and then we'll drive to a hotel that is wherever we need to be the next day. Sometimes that can mean a really long drive in and of itself. And then we will typically stop at some kind of brewery because, especially if they have food, we'll stop so we can get some beers, get some food, pick up some beers to bring home, and then we go back where we get checked in at our hotel. And this is the point at which we are supposed to do the podcast and or watch anime. And I'm still trying to figure out what the fuck I just did today a lot of the time. Like, we get to the hotel and I'm just kind of like pacing back and forth, like thinking thinking back about like what the fuck did just happen? Like, I just saw we average 250 miles of driving a day.
Yeah.
Average. I know because since we hit 69,420 on the odometer, and before that when we were at almost 666 or whatever, or I guess one less six than that, 5 sixes. At both of those numbers, I was paying attention, and it didn't take long to get between those two numbers. And it hasn't taken long to get way past those numbers. So
we drive a lot.
Yeah, we're always. I mean, just again, the job itself is mostly extremely easy. It's just that we have to do it all over the place,
which is the benefit of it too.
Yeah, I mean, feasibly, if we could make a lot less money and do it slower, but nobody would benefit from that. Everybody benefits from us doing it as fast as possible. So we pretty much try to keep the wheels turning. And the podcast, while it is fun and it is satisfying and it makes us money directly from people who pay us to do it, frankly, we don't make nearly as much money doing this as we certainly not enough to buy an Alienware computer after 1 week of work. Maybe a sixth of that is made by this podcast currently.
But anyway, I saved the podcast, guys. I'm the savior of We Watch Anime, just like I was when I introduced the podcast We Watch Anime.
Because you bought the new computer,
exactly.
You've
yes,
saved the
I've
podcast
saved
because
the podcast.
Now I can do more editing work while you play video games, which is part of why the last episode had been so late in the first place, was that the opportunity we had to work on it, we got sick and played video games instead, which we talked about on the first half of this episode, before we then drove all over Oregon fucking over and over again.
And I got isekai'd by alcohol.
You got isekai'd by alcohol.
Once again.
At the end of the last episode, I said we'd be back tomorrow. That did not happen. We're still not back, even as of this recording, because it's not live.
You're right.
And
it's Jover.
As far as I know, it may never come out. We could
Oh
die
my
out in the
God.
fucking woods.
What if
and
Sasquatch
somebody
hears
just
us?
finds this as our last recording
What
or
if
whatever?
Sasquatch likes Mushoku Tensei?
Oh shit, dude, that would be awful for us. Is there anything else of note we should talk about? I thought about maybe we'll start. Maybe I really we have a lot of travel footage. We have a channel called Picnic Adventure. Um, I want to make more videos for that channel. Obviously, the fact that we can't even keep up with this podcast is why I haven't.
Yeah.
I thought about maybe at some point like just compiling a bunch of footage and making a movie out of it and calling it Gas and Grass.
That'd be fun.
And it's
like that name for a movie.
because we travel and we also smoke weed and we also touch grass and we also smoke gas and also pass gas because we eat lots of food.
I don't like that one.
Well, I'm just trying to give it as
fart.
much depth as it could have.
What are you talking about?
It's true. I've never farted before. Anyway, yeah, we had some good beers. We had some good. Oh, we had the best burger of all time.
Well,
in Eugene, Oregon.
Hey, let's not be too hasty. I mean, it was one of the best burgers I've
ever
had. Definitely the best burger I've ever bought.
It was the best burger we've ever bought, for sure. In Eugene, Oregon, at outside of a brewery.
No, it was the best burger I've ever had.
What was the
Paper Plate Barbecue Smash Burgers?
Paper Plate Barbecue, which despite having a picture of a pig on their logo.
Well, no, because that truck is just Smash Burgers.
Okay, so that truck is just a part of the overall Paper
Yes.
Plate Barbecue network.
Yes.
But that Smash Burger truck just makes Smash Burgers.
Yes.
And the guy made the best Smash Burger I've ever had. It had fucking like cinnamon pickles,
something like that,
caramelized onions,
really thin onions, yeah.
Fucking smash burgers with the layers of cheese. I had 2 layers. You had 3 layers of patties.
It was very good.
The fucking buns were incredible.
We should have got fries.
Fries were like $4, but I assume you get
good.
a lot of them. I would hope, but yeah, it was.
The beer was pretty good too.
And yeah, what the fuck was the brewery
Cold Fire
called?
Brewing.
Cold Fire Brewing. We had just popped into Cold Fire because we thought they had food, but it was actually food trucks outside, which was even better. Cold Fire also had an amazing Hefeweizen. So yeah, that was a nice experience. Anyway, we're gonna talk about the rest of these fucking anime. We're gonna actually do it. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it in a straightforward and collected manner because that's the most chaotic way we could follow up the previous.
Hey, let me
episode.
just down this beer real quick.
Oh shit! Alcohol taking hold. I actually got shit faced twice this week and we didn't do the podcast because I was too drunk.
Yeah.
So you could blame me for a couple of missed podcast opportunities when I underestimated the alcohol content of that Hefeweizen that I just talked about that I drank right after a cider we had at a different cider place.
Oh, Two Town Cider House,
and then continued drinking for the rest of the night. Anyways, Jujutsu Kaisen. We're in the Shibuya incident. There's something being explained here, I think, by Meme, but I'm going to really need your help. They're raising the strength of the veil.
Because they are not inside of the veil, I think. Like, making them easier to find because they're not in the veil is stronger.
Oh.
Because the people that are casting the veil are outside of the veil. It's the grandma and stuff.
Yeah, this episode we're gonna be covering 2 episodes of Jujutsu Kaisen, if that's not clear from the description that you probably used to skip to this part of the video. But this one, I was kind of, as I got screen caps from it, realizing I don't remember what the fuck was going on with these 3 criminals, I guess.
Yeah.
They're like 3 bad people.
They're curse users, they're like rogue Jujutsu sorcerers, basically.
Okay, so people with the same abilities as Jujutsu sorcerers, but who use them for evil.
Yeah.
And we get like little snippets of their backstories to tell us about how they were like always bad guys.
But then Gojo was born, and there was like a 30 million yen contract put out on his head, and they all tried to do it. But then Gojo looked at them And they were like, "Oh fuck, this little kid's gonna kill us."
So is one of them the one explaining this stuff here
No, I
about
think
the
this is
veil?
probably
Or?
Mei Mei.
Okay, yeah, I'm struggling to remember the early part of this episode. A lot of it is
Oh right,
fighting this guy.
yeah. So this guy, I don't know if he's like a serial killer. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
something like
just a
that.
serial killer. I think he cuts people's faces off. I think that was his thing. But yeah, Nanami and Yuji are trying to kick his ass, and he's
This is
killing them.
a lot of Jujutsu Kaisen for me is like a character will get introduced with a really strong design,
Yeah,
stands out. Uh, this one, like he's got a crazy face. He's got like a really particular body type and musculature,
he's like a
and
clown kind of
the animators really
jester. I
take
mean,
advantage of like the weirdness of him
yeah,
to like animate him weird. So he looks cool. I'm immediately kind of intrigued, but it I feel like Jujutsu Kaisen will introduce characters in a way of like how they are important to the overarching like what's going on in the story,
yeah.
and then kind of tell their backstory a little bit. But at first, I'm just kind of like, who the fuck is this? And am I supposed to care? Like, is this Is this a real character? Because like sometimes characters will look pretty cool and really have nothing to say or do, and just like they're just gonna die, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, so it's like,
Which is kind of this guy. He kind of just exists for an episode or two.
is that it? Is he pretty already spent? I can't even remember if they like
I
kill
do
him.
believe they. I don't know if they kill him, but they do beat him.
They do have, yeah, they have like I mean, a lot of this episode is just fighting this dude. But the way he's introduced,
I'm not going to say what his power is yet because that would be a spoiler.
you know, it's like these three people in a team, and it kind of takes a while to really understand who they are and what they're doing. And we mostly just get this guy, and then the next episode we don't really cut back to the other two teammates that much.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Uh,
We might a little bit. They might be around. They might meet up with Nanami, I think.
it's just there's a lot going on in the story right now between different groups of characters, and
In all different places too.
it's introducing a lot of new ones that I can't tell who's gonna be in the game for a long time, who's just a one-off yet, who's like, you know, is this guy? You're telling me this guy does not have staying power, so
No.
I already know that I probably am seeing the height of his intrigue in this episode, and I must say, not that interesting. Cool design, cool fight with the animation and all. I don't really remember what his powers are or like
So
the specifics of his backstory.
the harder you hit him, the weaker he feels it, and the weaker you hit him, the more he feels it, or something like that. It's called like inverse or something.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That looks like one of the grandsons of. Is that the person who turns into Toji? Maybe.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, that's a weird shot of him. I don't know what's happening here.
It looks like he's getting his ass kicked.
He's might be getting drilled by Ino right now.
Hold on, let's see if I got the. Oh, I don't even know what this is.
No, this is a flashback, I think.
Which guy is this guy? Is this the old guy? But when he was younger?
No, I think that's the. I don't know, honestly.
Yeah. So.
Oh, right. Okay, I remember what this is. That is a businessman. This is a flashback. That young girl is the old woman, but using her jujutsu technique to be disguised as, I think, this guy's daughter, whom she killed, to be able to disguise herself as his daughter. And now she's killing him.
Really edgy setup here that, like, basically she was staging it like she was going to fuck her dad.
Yeah, kind of.
Like, hey, it's me, your daughter, and we're gonna, Daddy, I'm all over you. And he's like, all right. And then, like, he's dead. Like, I guess to make us feel good about the fact that this guy dies, like, well, he's a pedophile. It's okay that she killed him.
It was strange.
It was just like, wow. That was a lot to unpack in just a sudden scene in this backstory thing. But,
And we get the other okay, so this is the strong guy kicking Yuji, I guess.
Yeah, they have a big fight, and he's like bouncing off the fucking girders and kicking him in the face and shit, doing all this Luffy type like rubbery animation type
stuff. It'd be fun
stuff.
for him to activate Gear 5 on them.
It would be.
Just immediately become the main character. Rabbit Escape is Megami. Yeah, Megami's one of his shadows. It just summons an immense, I think, infinite amount of rabbits.
Oh.
It can't be killed, I don't think. And yeah, this is where they start to figure out what Mustache Man's power is, because the rabbits kind of brush by him and it hurts or disorients him. Yeah.
I see. So they had to like solve it.
I like that they form in rabbits. That looks like Toji.
Yeah, so this intrigued me because I earlier episode I made a comparison to Ninja Resurrection, how there's like a scene at the end of that where Satan and a bunch of dudes just like murder everyone in Tokyo, and it kind of looked like when they were doing that in Shibuya with the demons. But the fact that there's even like a sect of people who like set out to resurrect like an ancient evil guy also has like
ancient.
similar vibes.
He's like a 2 decades evil guy.
But like
maybe no, like not even that. Like 15 years ago.
It definitely has like a summoning Satan vibe to it, of like they do all this voodoo shit and then just like the baddest dude that we ever had is like, suddenly back.
Oh, I guess my body was stronger than your grandson's mind, which was pretty sweet.
And then he just
kills the grandma, just like throws her off the building or something.
Oh, does he?
I don't know.
No,
this is the end of the first episode when he's alive. Yeah, he's kicking Ino's ass right now. So he just Ino has to have his mask on.
So is this guy dead now?
No, he's alive.
Okay, because the way this scene is
really
portrayed,
just like beats the shit out of him.
Yeah, like Ino approaches. This is another case where like I don't know if I'm supposed to care about this guy yet.
I don't think he dies.
Barely been a character. I barely understand his powers, but he ends up in a confrontation with Toji, and Toji just. I mean, you see how many hands are in this screenshot alone. He hits this man so much, and it sounds like he's putting him through a meat grinder.
Sounds like
you just
see
him. Like a shot of blood, like just amassing on the ground, and you're like, that guy's fucking dead. Like, there's no way. What are you talking about? If he lived, then that's wild.
It is. I think we see him in the next episode.
Throwing a car at this guy.
Oh right, that was funny.
I can't remember what the fuck is happening in this screen.
I think throwing the car was to distract them. This is that was Megami attacking with his toad. And then this is Yuji faking this guy out by making him think he's going to do a black flash and then not punching him as hard as he was going to, but still with cursed energy, I think. And I think this kills him.
There's a lot of fighting in this episode.
There's
and a decent amount of exposition. And the only part that really hit with me was really Toji coming back and beating that guy to death.
Yeah, that was pretty traumatic.
Well, and partly because, like, again, these characters get introduced. I'm not really sure why they're important until it seemed like they didn't even do it on. Well, they weren't like trying to bring him back in that capacity, right?
No, they were just trying to bring back Toji's body so that the grandson could use his body as a weapon.
And Toji just comes back and is like, fuck your grandson. And so, so like it gives me this sense of like, oh, these guys just existed so that they could accidentally bring Toji back, you know? And then basically job to him by getting the absolute, everyone around him can immediately job to him and get their asses beat to remind us, he's still who he was. He's still a badass. Which is, it's interesting because on the one hand, this makes it really hard for me to personally think that anybody in Jujutsu Kaisen can like really die. Yeah. Since I think you probably spoiled the manga in the last episode of this podcast, but I don't think that anybody in this manga can really die.
They can't be half as mad at you about it as they are at me about anything funny. I said.
But yeah,
what is dead is never truly gone.
It's hard because they've brought back like two villains who like the whole previous
Ghetto,
arc,
yeah.
the whole starting arc of this season was just to show how these two guys who were going to come back had died, so that they could then come back and be in the story, which I
But
like.
they're not really bad.
I think it's a fun setup, but it also leads me to think like, well, who else is going to come back? I mean, they're not going to bring back the one girl who died, to the sacrifice girl from the that arc, right?
The one girl.
The one that he shot, the one that Toji shot.
Oh no,
in the face.
the plasma vessel. No.
Yeah. So it's not that nobody's ever going to die permanently in this, but it does leave me kind of like, well, there's a lot of ways to kind of come back. Yeah. It seems like.
Well, I mean, we even see at one point in the manga, someone Maki kills come back as a curse because of how much he hates her.
Damn.
Which is interesting.
So continuing on to the next episode,
Mei Mei gets challenged by, or I think Mei Mei's just like ranting at this guy who she's beat the crap out of. Just explaining her whole deal. She doesn't have a very strong curse technique, so she improved her muscles as much as she possibly could, and apparently that helps with cursed energy distribution or something. So she was basically a rank 1, but then she figured out how to do something, I think, called Crow Strike, which is basically she shoots a crow at someone and kills it, and it, really, really bad. I mean, really good curse technique, But she basically just rants at this guy for a while.
Yeah, so this is something
begs for his life.
I struggle with is, like, why is she telling this to this person now?
Mei Mei suck. Or, I don't know. She doesn't suck. She's fun. She's mommy. But, like, she's not a particularly interesting character.
This is a type of writing I struggle with where the writer wants the audience to know this information, but, like, who is she going to tell this to and why? So she's just kind of like dumping whatever's on her mind, I guess, at like a random thing she's about to murder. Yep. So none of this matters to the person she's talking to. It's just for the audience. And it really is just like her life story out of nowhere. I was like, it distracts me from being able to actually pay attention to what she's saying when I don't understand why contextually is she talking about this. And I really wish that like we learned this information in a different, more clever way. The information itself could be interesting, but the presentation is the animation in this scene is really noteworthy. She's cool. She's doing like this really
cool
emphatic
slow walk with a big axe.
Yeah. We don't actually get to see her do the murder, though. It just kind of cuts to, like, dead body later. I don't know. Weird scene. A lot of weird scenes in this series.
So there's this blonde guy with a sword that has a hand as a hilt running around, killing all of the Jujutsu tech people in suits that put up veils.
I think it was the episode before that one where he first stabbed that guy.
That sounds right.
I remember us commenting on it. But yeah, there's this side tie ponytail blonde boy who's going around killing people, and Nanami's getting really pissed off because he's finding their corpses and being like, "This is my personal failure. I have to do something about it."
And so he saves this guy, but he can't save all of them.
Here's the guy.
Meanwhile, this guy is torturing one of the suit people. I don't remember her name, but she's been a character before.
Yeah, once again, a character that I'm like, am I supposed to care?
She lives through this, so...
Is she, like... Does she ever do anything? Does she, have a moment?
I think she has done something. I don't know. The suit people don't really matter. She's the closest one.
They do seem like they're there to die.
She and the guy that Nanami had on his back are the closest people.
Wearing a black suit in this series is like wearing a red suit in Star Trek. Like, you're fucked. You're not going to live. But yeah, he really...
He really likes torturing weak people. That's his thing.
And, Hammer Girl is also fighting him. Here we go. Here's the shot.
He just stabs her all over.
This shot got to me because I do not want to get stabbed in the back of my leg or ass. Yeah.
Doesn't
of all
look
the places
enjoyable.
to I don't know.
Fuck
Gege
this
was
guy.
like, I got a hot girl with a nice ass. What if she gets stabbed in the ass? I don't know. Yeah, it looks brutal. Looks violent. The girl with the
It was like when
hammer.
Gojo got stabbed in the head and like all up the chest and everything.
She literally tries to. He has a sword and she has like a ball peen hammer and she's
And
trying to fight
nails.
him with it. And like, it just looks really goofy to me. I didn't really get a lot of screen caps
Yeah.
of their fight because the
She
animation
loses.
is weird. Like, there's a lot of animation, but it's nowhere near as clean and crisp as like what we saw
Or what
with
we're
the
about
walk
to see.
sequence. Yeah, or what we're about to see in the rest of the episode. They definitely put their C team on this particular fight. It just felt funny, like seeing her flail at a guy with a sword using a hammer. Like, you have no range. What are you doing? Knife to a gunfight energy.
I like that you didn't get any screenshots of her fighting with the sword guy, but you got 2 screenshots of the ass stabbing.
Well, one of them I had the stuff in the way, so I had to get a second one that you could see more clearly.
Anyway, so Nanami shows up and says to little asshole blonde boy side ponytail, "What's the number and location of your allies?" And then just fucking decks him through the stomach.
This is the episode where everybody who's attracted to men went,
Yeah.
daddy. God damn, this screen cap.
It's pretty, yeah.
I saw this on Twitter before I even saw the episode. Look at that little twink. He looks like he's about to get absolutely railed.
And
he looks
is
like
about
he's
to
going
get absolutely railed.
I mean, like, find you a man who looks at you the way that Nanami looks at what the fuck ever this idiot's name is.
Haruto, I think, maybe.
This is after he's already hit him once, also.
Yeah.
And
and so this guy's curse technique is when he sees. Oh, he doesn't know this, but this is how it's explained.
whose curse technique?
The little blonde boy.
Okay.
When he sees like a 4-leaf clover or a rainbow or something, he doesn't actually see it, and he gets one of those little marks under his eyes.
I see.
And then that's his, like, he stores luck, basically.
Weird.
Yeah, it's strange. But anyway, so the only reason he's surviving these punches from Nanami is because he is lucky.
I see.
And every time after he gets punched, he has one less mark.
Wow, there's so much visual detail going on in this fight beyond how badass it is, because Nanami's power also has a unique, unexplained
Ratio.
Yeah,
ratio has been explained a lot.
It's been explained in the show, but like in this fight scene, the way it's represented is basically Nanami punches this guy, and instead of there being
it cuts to the 7-3 split that Ratio does.
Instead of a traditional impact frame, it'll show the graph of where 7-3 is that he's hitting, and it looks really badass. The whole thing, the shading is crazy, and he puts this guy through several walls, through several buildings.
It's awesome.
You see just like the fear in the stupid idiot asshole's face, and the just pure satisfying glee of watching him get knocked the fuck out by a big man over here. Yeah, it's maybe the most Chad scene in recent anime history.
I love it.
This definitely rescued the Shibuya incident for me. So far, I hadn't really cared about much of what was going on until Nanami showed up and just fucking plowed this dumbass twink because he stabbed that girl in the butt.
Don't stab girls in the butt.
It was like the fastest you could go from introducing a character, making them as hateable as possible, and then
this character's been in the show before.
Like before the 2 episodes ago when he stabbed that guy in the back.
Yeah, he was in the first season.
Oh, okay. I guess I probably never got to that part because I never finished the first season. How early is he introduced?
Right after the Rose Lady fight.
We're talking about the long-haired boy, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember that at all.
Okay.
Rose Lady fight?
I'm sorry, Rose Curse. You know, the nature curse that Gojo killed in 2 episodes ago.
We're talking about Pokemon?
What the fuck are you... No.
Oh, you mean the white thing?
The nature curse, where it's got wood powers.
Man, The one that was like one of the main four.
Yeah, the one
guys.
that's voiced by a lady.
Yeah. So
there's a scene where the nature curse is beaten down and dying, and long-haired pretty boy comes up to kill that curse, but then Mahito stops him and says, "I'll kill you if you do that."
I see. Well, nonetheless, in the time that he's actually been doing shit in the story, it's just been the worst. Just been the worst guy. And then Nanami, who has been historically the best guy. The most likable.
He's even got the glasses.
No. Nanami has always been a badass, and then he gets to just have like the most satisfying retribution imaginable. Now, from what I understand, this is not going to go well.
Did I spoil that last week?
No, I don't think so. But we'll find out on our own.
It's not gonna go. It's gonna be fine to the end of this episode.
Sure, yeah. But anyway, yeah, he just beats the ever-loving fuck
girl.
out of him.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Love that shot. Ooh.
Yeah, and in the face
crunchy.
Too. God. Mei Mei's kicking ass, I guess.
I don't remember what she's doing here at the end of. How many years has it been?
She's fighting the smallpox curse, is what it is. She's gonna fight Pseudo-Geto, but then this guy summons smallpox curse, and smallpox curse unleashes his domain on her, which is it puts you in a coffin and then drops a boulder on you, and if you are within that for 3 seconds, you get smallpox and die.
She like sees Geto and immediately knows it's not him, right?
Yeah, and wants to kill him.
Yeah, she's like, "Fuck you, you're not."
There's Choso doing his Choso thing, probably trying to kill Yuji, if I had to guess. Yeah, he's trying to kill Yuji right now.
Which Yuji's the main character?
Yeah, pink-haired boy.
And who's this guy's brothers that Yuji
You didn't
killed?
see it. It was at the end of the first season.
Okay. But this guy has been around also.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I didn't realize how many characters were going to survive the first season and get reincorporated into the second one.
Turtle.
Oh, that's
turtle,
it. That
turtle,
was. Do you have anything left
turtle,
to say about
turtle,
those Jujutsu Kaisen episodes?
Turtle.
Bird's ready to move on to turtle.
Turtle. Look at how cute the turtle is. Look at how cute the little turtle is. I love him. What a good little turtle.
In case anybody was wondering why we watch Pokemon, that's the whole reason right there. Pokemon Horizons episode 24, 5. I'll figure this out when I have to
episode Turtle.
Timestamp it. Yeah, this is the one where at this point the turtle has just come out of the gem and is just hanging out.
It's awake now.
So they're like, trying to make friends with it, and
it hangs out in Liko's jacket, just like all of her other Pokemon.
Yeah, look at that.
It's so adorable. I love the
So
turtle.
Liko has quickly graduated to soccer mom energy. She's got
You're right.
triplets.
We did see a woman out in Halfway who looked kind of exactly like this.
That's funny.
With her kids.
Nyahoja is, for some reason, really doesn't want to meet Liko's grandma and has nothing but bad vibes towards her. I assume just because it's somebody that Liko cares about more than her.
Probably. Cats be clingy.
And then you've got the other two just kind of just chilling.
I don't know.
They're having a good time. They're fine in the backpack.
Turtle.
Very cute.
There's it's Garganackle. That's who this guy is. I love Garganackle. Big Salt Man.
I can't really remember. Are these bad guys?
Yeah, these are the bad guys.
They're just getting ready to go be bad.
Yeah.
Talking about badness that will ensue shortly.
Yeah.
As their bad plans continue.
I think there's some badness going on within the bad guys too, of like some of the underling bad guys might be trying to fuck with the big bad guy, but there's also the badness of trying to get the turtle. There's that cool bird thing that introduced.
The bird, apparently the yellow ones have a bad personality, but this one is leading them to Liko's mom or grandma.
This is really cool. Big Rock Man is a gate. I love that.
Yeah, so I had never seen this Pokemon before, so I was like, what the hell is the Stonehenge thing?
Yeah.
Or maybe I had and I just forgot about it. But I love that. Obviously, the design, when you look at it, you think it's a Stonehenge. But this one, it starts off closed and then opens. So it's like, oh, it's being used as a door.
It's awesome. I love this show because of how they use Pokemon.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. It's how they get to the secret mansion. There's like a gigantic old mansion in the middle of the forest.
Arcanine.
And Leiko's mom just hangs out there with her Pokemon. Grandma. So there is a big twist in this episode, in my mind. Leiko's grandma is not the legendary adventurer. She very clearly also knew about him and tried to copy his journey. And she talks about that. But, the show was pretty deliberately ambiguous, I think.
Yeah.
Because we only ever saw the grandma in, little glimpses. It seemed like she had a bunch of legendary Pokemon because she's, regarded as, this amazing trainer. And Leiko's dad is the one who wrote the books about the legendary trainer that Leiko grew up with. So it's like he would know. Although I think it's her mom's mom. I'm not sure which grandma.
It's her mom's mom, I believe.
But yeah, Leiko's grandma herself is like, nah, I've always been curious about that motherfucker too. I want to know more. That's why I went around,
And then she's
Pokemon
like,
journey.
oh shit, you got a turtle? Oh, also, right, there's the apple guy. I love the apple guy. He's so good.
Basically,
Flapple.
This mansion, none of these are her Pokemon. They're just Pokemon that like to hang out here because they can do
whatever they want.
Yeah, their little cute thing they do.
Turtle. Look at how cute he is. He's like a Sailor Moon.
But yeah, the main evidence of the fact that she is not the legendary trainer is that she does not know about the turtle. She just thought that the pendant was maybe a fossil. Maybe it could be made into a Pokemon.
Which it was kind of a fossil.
Yeah, but she had no idea what it was going to result in. It's kind of like when, the Togepi egg. They were given that not knowing what it was going to be. And... that's her as a little kid. No, that's, I think, the grandma.
Or young grandma.
First, sneaking around, reading stories.
About Lucius.
Yes, there were records written by an adventurer named Lucius and his friends on their journey. So she's read his records.
Big mountain.
Ooh, this is kind of like what we were doing today.
Except the mountain was imploded.
But we do see some mountains like this sometimes.
These are the bad guys, I think.
Yes, the bad guys raid the mansion. I love shots like this. Very dynamic.
Look,
framing.
The turtle's helping. Do you see him? He's down there being fierce.
I'm impressed. Everything looks on point in a shot. Like it's hard to get everybody facing the correct way. You know, Charizard's looking at Rhydon, and the Pokemon are all kind of looking at other Pokemon. The people are all looking at other people. They're all drawn proportionally right.
Where's
this
Hogator?
Is not easy to do.
Roy's holding him. I thought it was his shirt.
Tons of Pokemon and people in one shot. I'm impressed. Big money shot.
Turtle.
Turtle. Oh yeah, Turtle comes out and it gets so emotionally intense that Hatterene starts running around it in circles and then passes out.
That was really funny. I love the little hat. Poor little hat.
Cute.
This is Dead Mount Death Play. I'm not sure who this character is.
She's a live streamer.
Yeah, no, I caught all that.
She's
she just doesn't really
with big tits, basically.
She's an orca.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense, of course.
But she doesn't really come back after this.
So this is
This is
the first
intro.
This is the first one, right? This is we've only seen the first episode of the new season of Dead Mount Death Play. I believe so. So yeah, this is one of the new anime this season. And
no, this is the second episode because we saw the first episode and said it was good. On a podcast, I'm pretty sure.
No, this is the first episode of the new season. This is the first podcast of the new season. This is the first one. We mentioned the fact that this was good somewhere, I'm sure. But yeah, we thought, this was the show we first were making fun of on this podcast. So we were expecting it to be
continually making funnable.
Yeah, funnily bad, especially because we finished Mushoku Tensei and making fun of that show. So, we figured we'll have a butt rug or whatever.
Butt rug?
Yeah, rug you wipe your butt on, you know? But no, Dead Mount Death Play has gotten really entertaining, and, like, I mean, shots like this remind you there's some strong character design and artwork in this show. And it's gotten so far away from the roots of being like an isekai or reverse isekai or whatever.
But it's not really, because they're still talking about that.
At this point, it's a mystery dramedy about a bunch of weirdos trying to figure out what a bunch of other weirdos are up to, basically. But it starts off this episode with the visor dude, the like informant guy who works
who hates 3Ds.
Yeah, although that's obviously a lie because he's watching a 3D girl stream. This girl's fucking adorable. Just a great design, great concept for a VTuber.
I want an orca mommy
but
in my life.
But I think she goes to like she's doing like an IRL stream and then gets like attacked or something.
Yeah, something bad happens to her. I don't remember quite exactly what.
It's never addressed again in the episode, I don't think. I don't think we cut back to what was going on in this. I don't remember what this was about, but it was cute and I enjoyed it. This episode also
there are some assassins who are going to assassinate.
So, you know, we've talked before about this show. We covered the whole first half of the season. This is technically part 2 of season 1, whatever. It's written by Ryogo Narita, the manga is, who also created Bakano and Do-Da-Da-Da. And all of Narita's stories basically just keep introducing more and more and more and more characters and creating increasingly complicated situations involving as many of those characters as possible, while also shoving as many of them as possible into a room to just hang out and have tea or whatever. And so this show, much like Do-Da-Da-Da Season 2, is now just introducing like a whole secondary cast. Like, as many characters as were in the show before are now newly in the show on top of that. Like, but everyone else is still relevant.
More smoothly?
I mean, there's a lot of them, but a lot of them... Look, not a lot of the characters from the first season left a huge impact. And frankly, it's surprising how much...
These characters don't really leave a huge impact on me.
No, I guess I'm just saying I'm ready for there to be more characters. Like, it's kind of a gamble which ones are going to be interesting, but at least there's, like, you know, if we are already sick of Fire-Breathing Bug and fucking Phantom Thief and, or...
Phantom Solitaire
and fucking, Mummy Person...
Lemmings.
You've got the stupid detective guys who suck. You've got... like random mafiosos, the big titty lady who runs the big titty lesbian shop. Most of these characters show up again in this episode, so it's not like the show has forgotten anybody. It just also introduces Lolly Hitman and her brother. I mean, this is just us, right?
It's No Game, No Life.
Masks on. I don't know. Is that what this is? Okay, it's No Game, No Life as Hitman. Cute. There's a great line, I think I screen capped it, where, she asks her, "Are you by chance some kind of bitch?" I think in Japanese she just says, like, "Do you just have, like, a bad personality?" But I like this translation.
This is funny.
But yeah, this girl's got cool hair, so I hope she matters. We learn about some kind
Corpse
of...
God sucks at magic.
Yeah, this scene, aside from telling us about his magical stuff and his teacher kind of giving him like a berating about whatever his way of going about things, the point of him telling this anecdote is that this was a moment where they get interjected by this other dude who's like, this guy, I don't know.
He's the really in charge court sorcerer.
That's what, I remember court sorcerer being a phrase thrown around. He looks like a Final Fantasy villain, and I have deep concerns about his intentions, and maybe he might have been involved in you know, the hit that was out on our main character just seems like kind of a suspicious individual, even just by character design, in the vicinity of our hero back in the old days, especially because they keep framing him from a distance, like they don't really show his face. Um, Corpse God seems like he can hardly fucking remember the guy, but he only really remembers good things, so he's not like totally suspicious of him or anything. Uh, I have to pee, so I'm gonna cut this again. All right. So I'm suspicious of this dude. This dude also.
Oh yeah, this guy's really crazy. I think he's just a murderer.
He really wants Phantom Solitaire's autograph, I guess. I honestly don't remember this guy. So many fucking characters get introduced to this episode.
Yeah, you were like, oh my god, this is just like Baccano and Durarara the whole time.
Yeah. Well, in a lot of it, in those cases, you feel like it's a new book. You know, like light novels kind of always do that, where there's usually like a character on the cover who gets introduced in that book, and then there's maybe a central villain, and then like a bunch of people related to them and telling their story. With this though, like the first half of the season did not complete any kind of arc, if I remember correctly. Like,
No.
at best, we got a bunch of players, kind of understood what they're going for, and they were all like coming to a head. But at the start of this season,
And that's where we ended, yeah, too. Like the whole first season was just. Oh wait, right. This is all one season technically, isn't it?
yeah, and this feels like very much we're just now in the second act. Like the whole first season was just act 1 because it took so much setup to introduce everybody, to develop a relationship between like the main characters before they start getting involved in the rest of the conflict. Just like it feels like there was a lot of legwork to get us to here, and now it's like, all right, we're introducing tons of characters that are going to make this plot start moving. I hope, but it really remains to be seen. It was fun to watch this though.
Something we forgot to mention in the Birds and the Bees. Last night when we showed up, there was no one here at all, to the point that I was scared about how alone we were. When we got back from visiting Crater Lake today, there were a bunch of fucking yuppies next door to us.
Yeah.
They picked the campground right next to us, and I was like, really? Why'd you have to go right there? And I learned as the guy walked by, he said, "Oh, you took my spot, man. I was there last year." I was like, "Oh."
Last week, I think he said.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah. But so
Anyway,
in this episode,
I just saw another Volkswagen bus pull up. Is why I was.
oh yeah,
thinking
they
about that.
all have like nearly identical buses. Are those all Volkswagens?
Yeah, they're
pretty
called
cool
Westphalias.
I see. So they're probably like a fucking club or something. Anyway, while we're getting new characters introduced to our real life camping scenario, in Dead Mount Death Play, they keep introducing more. This girl's a journalist, and she is just really curious about why all of these people are grouped together, because she already knew about Information Broker Guy.
Yeah.
She knew him as like a child genius who had like his own story before all of this. And now that he's connected to Polka, who is part of the Shinomiya group, who she also has investigated because they're important in different ways, she cannot possibly understand why these two are working together or any of the circumstances around it. But she's drawn to, it sounds like a scoop. And so, also this fortune teller, apparently everybody knows that Phantom Solitaire came here and had his fortune read or whatever. So she wants to know more about it, and she comes in asking questions, and they're being pretty dodgy, giving her some half answers. She asks about the fire-breathing bug having fucking incinerated the message into the wall of their thing, and they're like, that was just here when we got here. Like, I don't know about that one, Chief. So yeah, basically to me, this felt like the author inserting a character who could themselves figure out what the fuck the story is.
Yeah.
which is really funny because now that I think about it, that's also how Baccano starts in the anime version. The novel does not start out this way, but the anime starts off with a pair of characters who work for the newspaper, like discussing how difficult it is to pick a main character for the story and
Sure.
like a starting point because it jumps around time so much, and then ultimately they like decide on one, and then the show starts. This girl is kind of in that position of trying to be like, so what is the plot? What is it? I'm there, and nobody wants her to know. So I don't know. It adds a little bit of intrigue to the mystery if that there's like a character who they're trying to keep it a secret from. Like we know this information, but she knows like a different slant side of the story. Like it'll be interesting to see how she gets worked into actually mattering or being a good guy or whatever. Also, this is her boss. Look at this man.
I like her boss. Her boss is cool.
Great character design. Very 70s mixed with modern.
Well, he's like the gnome from Frieren.
Yeah. And he's kind of like, this story sounds like a bunch of horse shit, but if you believe in it, so I guess do it. Also, these people, I don't remember this.
They work for Polka's brother.
Yeah, Polka's brother is scheming something.
I think Polka's brother is who had Polka killed. I don't remember if they say that or not, but I'm pretty sure
they were definitely implicating that in the first season.
Yeah.
Or first half of the season. We have to be correct about these things, or we'll get yelled at. I'm surprised you were so quick to apologize about the spoiler stuff from last week. So last week you were like, I won't apologize to nobody. Fuck y'all.
Well, I'm gonna do it again. I mean, it's really easy to apologize.
I can't change.
Yeah.
Guess you can blame it on my left side brain.
It's really easy to apologize and then say things like, "Oh, Gon uses all of his nen to turn into the ultimate form he can be in the biggest fight he has," and then he kind of doesn't have nen anymore. Sorry.
This is just like a random photo of a track that we walked on in Portland.
Why is this here?
I don't know. It was it was in the collection of pictures that I imported from my phone. Right. Let's see. Here we go. Frieren. We're finally here.
All right.
The show that we have advertised that we were going to talk about for over a week, and we never actually made it there last time. But I am happy to say
the show's cute.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's good. It might even be very good. I think with anime, anime can often live or die on the strength of its premise. Obviously the execution is like what takes it all the way, but the premise is like 80% of the battle. There are stories that have just the most generic execution imaginable, but because the premise is, often in the title when it comes to anime, you hear like my life as a sword, and you're just like, all right, well, I want to know.
That one time I got reincarnated as a vending machine.
Yeah, exactly. That one I couldn't handle, but like even if the storytelling sucks, if you are like really enchanted by the premise, that's gonna do a lot of the legwork, especially if it's a really specific premise. And this is a show where they did both things, like great premise, great execution. What else can you ask for from a TV show? I don't think it's gonna be everybody's thing because
it wasn't really my thing at first.
It's slow.
I wasn't sure what it was gonna do.
It's meditative. It's more on the dramatic side. It's definitely not an action series. At least not. I don't think there's a single action scene in the first episode.
You're right.
There are, it's like tiny glimpses.
Maybe there's a little bit in like the flashback of the main guy.
I can't even remember if there was, but there is a lot of really gorgeous cinematography, artwork. You feel very involved in like the fantasy world and location. It borrows a lot of elements from generic fantasy settings.
Sword Art Online.
No,
I'm joking.
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
Dungeons and Dragons, like traditional
elves are
Western
old,
fantasy.
but they look young, huh?
Yeah, elves are immortal, dwarves are short. What are you crinkling over there? Why are you crinkling?
Nothing.
Stop throw that away. Get rid of the crinkle. No crinkle on podcast. Is that your ramen bag, your crunched up bag of ramen that you crunched up to eat straight? Crunched up ramen on the podcast? You crunching ramen on the podcast right now?
I'm not.
Spicy ramen crunching
I'm
like
not
chips?
crunching anything on the podcast.
All right. Anyway, they...
Kakashi dies and gets brought back to life.
I don't even think this is the first anime adaptation that has had the premise. Well, no, I know for a fact there are actually a bunch of we defeated the Demon King at the start of the story, and either in some of the stories he's immediately resurrected.
Sure.
There's one where it's
Seven Deadly Sins is basically we defeated the Demon King and he got brought back to life.
That being as popular as it is might be partly contributing to this as well. There was that one, I can't remember the fucking name of it, where the Demon King got turned into a lolly and she had to go to school with the heroes or something after they had defeated the demon. It was
Mushoku Tensei.
Dumb and goofy, but yeah, there's been a few of these, but this one has a way more meditative approach. It's not a comedy. It's not an isekai. It might be what you call native isekai. Which is basically just shows that are based on board games.
Well, so Frieren's an elf, and she doesn't understand people.
Yeah.
And she lives about a generation's worth of her life not understanding people, even though she's around people that she cares about. And then towards the end of that generation of human lifespan, she's like, hey, maybe I should care about people.
Yeah, maybe I'll give it a shot. This show, I would definitely say the broad metaphor they're going for here is immortality as a metaphor for being just an emotionally distant person in general.
Yeah.
Because the show starts off with she's with this adventuring party. They just defeated the Demon King, and they're all pretty young. They've got two humans, and a dwarf and I think he's a dwarf.
Yeah.
And an elf.
Or something. He's short.
And the one younger human guy is obviously the hero. He was the main dude who was their warrior, if you will.
The priest is about the same age as the hero, I think.
He looks like he might be just slightly older, but he ends up living a lot longer. But yeah, so the premise is they defeated the Demon Lord, everything's cool, they're all friends and everything, but they're all commenting on the fact that, the elf girl is ultimately going to outlive everyone else. She's immortal, and in her mind, she doesn't really appreciate the shortness of
human life. Even dwarf life.
In her mind, 10, 20 years is just not very long. And I don't know if they ever say how long she's already been alive, but you have to assume it's been a while. She had already seen a certain amount before meeting these people because she's
a master mage or whatever.
Yeah, she's high level, and she doesn't think that 10 years is a very long time. So she must have experienced a lot of 10 years already. And what's great about this episode, this is a great short story, by itself. A great pilot, if you will. If you just wrote this as a fantasy short that was submitted to some magazine, it would probably get published and people would like it. But it's also a foot in the door to the story of probably a much shorter time span that will occupy a lot more of the show. Because this is set over the entire lifespan of these characters, this episode.
Yeah. Except Frieren.
Yeah, Frieren watches all of these people either die or grow old in the course of just this one episode. And I assume that the show is going to slow down considerably after this and not do massive time skips all the time.
I think by the end of the episode, the dwarf is dead, the hero is dead, and the priest is dying.
I can't remember if the dwarf is dead or not.
I don't know that we see him die for sure, but the priest implies that he's the last one left.
I see. So yeah, like the show does a good job of presenting them as like very professional heroes. Like obviously they respect and like each other, but they're not like friends.
Yeah.
They're like an adventuring party. They got together, they did this thing. They've got like a soul bond. They have a strong respect, but they're
They're not going
not
to live their
like
lives together.
yeah, they're all going their separate ways after this to go do something else. And um but there's a sense that probably the three, other than Frieren, saw each other more
Yeah.
in the intervening years because she really just kind of fucks
Fucked off
off.
for 100 years to learn magic more or
Uh,
something.
well, they say to her 50 or even 100 years might just be a trifling thing, and it kind of just shows us a montage of her like living life out in the woods, bunch of pretty shots of her cutting wood and
Doing
being a person, and like
potions.
the show doesn't tell you how much time has passed. You're thinking maybe like I don't know, a month or whatever, maybe a year, and then like she shows up back in town and the
The
hero
hero's like
is
an old, tiny man.
yeah, he has totally shrunk. He's bald. He's got a long beard. He's frail. He's been keeping this cursed object in his house that's emanating an evil aura for 50 years because she said she would come back and get it from him at some point. So she did, but from her perspective, this was just like this could have happened at any time. It's just an errand. She has to stop by a friend's house to get a thing 50 years from now. From
Yeah.
his perspective, it's like
I've been holding
I've
this all my
lived
life for
my
you.
whole life. I've seen everything I'm ever going to see, in the time that you've been gone.
And I've always been remembering this thing.
And he's a totally different person, whereas she has, like, not changed.
No.
She's pretty much exactly the way she was before.
And they go to see the meteors, right? That's what they're here to do as well, right? The meteor
yeah.
shower. They're going to go to a better place because Frieren knows where to see meteor showers.
So,
Frieren is sad because the hero died.
yeah, so, like, the whole time that she's there, she kind of, she kind of has an attitude towards him like, well, of course, like, yeah, of course, this would happen. Like, of course you're old now or whatever. That's just what happens when time passes. Or, like, just the kind of attitude of, like, she just doesn't get it. She doesn't get that this guy is not going to be around forever. And then he's dead, and not too long after that, and yeah, they're all at the funeral, and she's just like, you know, like, I thought this guy was cool. Like, I respected him, really never got to know him. Like, I knew him for the little bit of time that we adventured together. I met him this one more time when he was old, and now he's gone. And, like, I never learned fuck about this guy. She feels bad about it. This is something that Bacaraptor just recently talked about in The End Day.
The End Day.
So every year, Bacaraptor, friend of the podcast, fellow anime YouTuber, there's this game Crystallis for the Game Boy that says that like the apocalypse happened on the End Day.
Ah.
And it says like a specific date. I can't remember which date it is, but every year on the End Day, he talks about something that ended. Usually something he dropped, but this time he was talking about an idol or a musician who died, and he had been a fan of her OPs.
Oh, right. I remember you watching that video. That was good.
But he never had like investigated more of her music, and once she's gone, he's like, well, I'll never be able to have like any type of relationship with this artist anymore beyond, I guess checking out their stuff now, but like this was it. I lost my shot to be a fan, and that's kind of Frieren here. Like I lost my shot to care about this guy. He's already gone. I am always worried about this because I travel a lot and I don't see people that often, and so I'm always like, what if they're just dead by the time I get to see them again? And I'm also an incredibly emotionally distant person. So I found Frieren really easy to relate to. Everything about her attitude, her struggles, the way she views people. I was like, you don't have to be immortal to feel this way, to end up in exactly this position. So I do think a lot of people are just going to find this show relatable on the surface of it, regardless of the whole immortality thought experiment. Like, what if you were this type of
You don't have
alien?
to be an elf to be emotionally distant from your loved ones.
Exactly. As I'm sure most of us understand who watch anime. So yeah, so this is the main premise, is that she's going to slow things down.
The ED in Mushoku Tensei stands for emotionally distant.
Emotional devastation. She's basically going to slow down and try to pay more attention to people in their little short lives and maybe get a little bit more out of her relationships instead of
Do you think she's going to
hanging
Dr.
out in
Manhattan
the woods for 50 years because whatever.
Do you think she's going to get tired of these people?
Yes, I hope so. That would be hilarious.
Go to the moon? Why not?
It would be so fucking funny. That would be a great way for the show to go, is that she just gets fed up with people.
I'm sure it'll happen before the end of this first season.
But yeah, so she meets up with the priest who, despite being an alcoholic for most of his life,
isn't dying.
He cleaned up his act right in his old age, and now he's all right, and he's become like kind of a big deal. So, you know, she's like, "Hey, you're still around. I still kind of owe you.
Let me hang out with you. What can I do for you?
Yeah, how can I get to know you better while you're still around?" And he's like, "Well, you know, I'm busy, but I've got a little girl who's really good at magic. And she's obviously fucking adorable. Any little purple
She's got a purple stick and purple hair. She knows color coordination.
She's got an oversized coat. She's adorable. She reminds me of there's a show called Kofuku Graffiti, where there was this just like little purple haired girl, but she was like a high schooler. This is like literally like a baby. God damn it! That was like the ED.
Some cool of this show? Okay, yeah. This was
both
cool.
the OP and ED were really good. The music was all really good. Yeah, it was just like an overall winner. Aesthetically great character designs, muted, chilled out story. Like, this is the kind of thing you're meant to watch to like cool off.
It's like an 8 out of 10 for me. It kind of replaces Skip and Loafer a little bit, but
yes,
it's very slice of life for being in that vein.
But it also has the thinky elements of like, what if I was immortal? And like, what if I, you know, how do I feel about the people who I haven't like talked to enough in my life?
Well, Skip and Loafer has, what if I was a celebrity? What if I was emotionally distant from everyone in my life?
That show had depth for sure. This one's a little bit more on the nose. It's more of like, I keep comparing this episode in particular to a short story because a lot of fantasy and sci-fi really are like, we're going to use this concept to explore this point for 60 pages and then it's over, you know? And like, that's what this felt like is, what if you were immortal and you missed out on people's lives and you decided, I'm going to try to not miss out anymore. And like, the show could go in a billion directions from there, but this episode as a standalone is... it's just memorable enough and executed just well enough that I'll always remember that this was the premise of this show. Like, you'll always be able to go like, oh yeah, Frieren, that's the one with the elf girl who watches all her friends die.
You can see there's like 4 people standing next to each other. One of them's obviously the little girl.
Oh, yeah.
There's another little person. There's 2 other people.
The one in the back is probably Frieren herself. So yeah, they're gonna make 2 other friends.
Frieren's not that short, is she?
She's pretty tiny.
Damn.
But yeah, it's cute, it's good. I hope that it is able to expand on the premise beyond what was already a strong pilot. And
everyone still likes it in the Discord. So.
We'll probably talk about it one episode at a time because I expect the show is only going to get more popular, especially when it ends. Like shows like this that don't have a ton of buzz before they're out, but people do know the manga and are like excited about it, and then like it comes out and it's really good. Word of mouth is going to take this a lot farther than it is currently, you know. So I'm not worried about us like trying to catch up with it the way that we're hoping to catch up with Jujutsu Kaisen. We'll probably end up having to do 2 episodes of that again in the next recording. Dead Mount Deathplay, we're definitely going to have to cover at least 2 episodes for the next recording. So, like, you know, we want to stay caught up on those shows, but with this one, I'm willing to take our time because it's new and it's just getting... It's new, it's good, and it's just now getting the attention, you know, that it's going to have in the long run. So, yeah. And then also we'll catch up on Dr. Stone. And if
Ohio Sakai, good morning.
And Pokemon. We also have to watch in the next episode of this podcast the new Pokemon Paldean Wins episode. But we still have, I think, one more show to talk
Speed
about,
Racer,
and that is
Spungy
Speed
Bunger.
Racer. Here is Trixie sitting slyly in the back of the car, like Spritle would do. So, in the previous Speed Racer, there was like a car that had been killed, and now it's back, and it's being remote controlled by this evil brother who's making his sister.
The son of the guy who was driving the car.
Yes, and he
I don't think the car was evil.
The car itself was not evil, no. The guy driving the car was not evil. They got killed. But this brother wants revenge, and he's using his sister by making her pretend to pilot the car while he remote controls it.
Yes.
And
he's doing evil things with the car.
Speed's like, why do I have so much drag? I should be able to catch up to that stupid car. Turns out Trixie's hiding in the back of the car. This pose is adorable. I might have to make this my new Discord icon because I currently have a different Trixie. I have her being like a maniacal psychopath, which she still is in this episode.
Yeah.
But
that's her character.
To greater effect. So the brother.
Oh right, they have a standoff because the brother has a gun pulled on them. And they're standing out in the snow.
He basically crashes them. Like he spends most of the first half of the episode just trying to get Speed off the road. And then, he threatens them with a gun. I think it's kind of funny that, like, this dude is trying to walk on ice with a fucking broken leg and a crutch while holding a gun in his other hand.
It's a lot of determination. You have to appreciate that.
That's true. But he's threatening them. He's like, fuck you guys, I'm going to kill you.
She pushes the sister out of the way to save her.
Wait, how did the sister get there? Wait, how did they? Did the sister save them from the gunman?
Yes. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the sister saved them from the gunman, and then I don't think he shot Speed, but
I think he might have shot the sister.
Car? No, nobody gets shot. Speed. I don't remember how Speed gets knocked out. Look, it's been a little while since we watched this episode. Basically. The thrust of this scene here is that this... So, alright, I saw somebody on Discord say that this whole episode was just Trixie being like a bitch. I disagree. I do think her sneaking into the back of the car was a bit much, but Spritle does it all the time, and he saves the day all the time. But in this scene, this woman sees Speed like knocked out, and she's like, oh, it's so cold, I better warm him up with my body.
Yeah.
And Trixie comes over and
this
is like,
really funny.
Bitch, get out of the way. And she shoves her off and helps Speed up. Does not warm him with her body, by the way. Helps him up. I think this was the right move. I wouldn't trust this woman. You don't know her intent. Just because you know, like, even if you were pretty sure she wasn't trying to, if she was trying to help, like, she doesn't know what she's doing. Why is she trying to touch him? He might be injured. Like, just, I would also, if some woman came, if you were in this situation where you've been knocked out and some woman's like, I'm going to warm up your body, I'm going to be like,
will she be as hot as this woman?
Maybe, but I'm still gonna be like, check yourself before you wreck yourself, ho.
I'm gonna wake up and check you.
Look, nah.
What if it's like Gal Gadot?
I don't trust Gal Gadot.
But she's hot.
Yeah, but like, what if she fucks up your spine or something?
I'm pretty sure Gal Gadot was in like some kind of military.
Yeah, but I don't know that her intention is, correct.
I don't think Gal Gadot would do anything wrong to me.
Anyway, they end up, they all make it out okay. The chase continues.
And Speed's trying to figure out how to turn off the remote control.
Speed literally has to jump on top of the remote control car and dismantle it, which is pretty badass.
It was pretty cool.
I don't think
we've seen Speed do something quite
big
this
action
cool.
hero moment from him. I think we mentioned in a recent episode how this show has like kind of name dropped 007 as like clearly what it's going for. This is definitely like almost like an Indiana Jones level move, but I think we determined that this show is older than Indiana Jones, right? Or something. So yeah, crazy.
Yeah, it's from the 60s.
Yeah, awesome scene. He really did it. He really went all the way. And the brother fucking dies. The brother's helicopter just crashes into the side of a mountain and goes up in flames, and the sister's crying, and they're just kind of like,
"You'll always have a family with us."
They're kind of like, well, at least he was a piece of shit, you know. Like,
well, and she was like, "Well, he wasn't always a piece of shit," and And then they go, well, he was now.
Yeah. So then, yeah, they're just kind of like.
I think they go, remember him when he wasn't a piece of shit.
Yeah, remember? Yeah, they literally do say something like,
don't remember him.
Just
as
forget
a
about the way
shit.
he's been recently. Like, and then it shows them like all hanging out and watching balloons at the end, and, like being happy. And I'm like, all right.
This is a weird episode of Speed Racer. They're all weird episodes of Speed Racer.
This show is a manic fever dream for sure. Well, that's all
Holy
the anime
crap.
that we finished. We finished this 2 weeks old podcast episode. So the next one again, we'll be catching up on all the new shows. We'll do the new Pokemon Paldean Winds episode. We will also soon be doing another bonus episode. Our $5 a month patrons, of course, have currently access to our Bochi the Rock, Cyberpunk Edge Runners, Keep Your Hands Off the Azoken, and the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya bonus episodes. And the next one is going to be about
Heike Monogatari.
Heike Monogatari. And yeah, that's like 11 episodes, but we haven't watched it yet. But we have to, before we can even do that, we have to worry about doing our next podcast episode as soon as possible. So hopefully it will not be nearly as long before the next podcast episode drops, but I can't make any promises. We can't predict this podcast. We can't. We cannot predict it right now. Life is too chaotic, too stressful, too all over the place, but we're going to try our hardest to get closer back to on schedule and on time, because you good people pay us money. Right now,
after Tuesday, we're not supposed to have any more work until the week after that.
I'm going to tell you this.
Maybe we'll have free time
This weekend, camping around and walking around Crater Lake, we have been in sub-freezing temperature. We were walking in the snow all day today.
I had such a good time.
And
I poured White Monster in the snow and made like a holdable, eatable snowball. It was great.
There's pretty much no chance that we would be able to handle the amount of cold that we have been camping and hiking in today if we did not have these North Face jackets that we got at the North Face outlet store, because they're half off at the outlet store. And when we did that, when we bought these North Face jackets we're wearing right now, which I love, which we wear all the time, it was like I had just gotten our Patreon money, and I put the exact, similar to what with the laptop, with the last week of work being exactly enough to buy an Alienware laptop. Not last month, but the month before that. It was like exactly what we made through Patreon immediately went to these North Face jackets.
And so thank you guys for buying us these very nice warm jackets.
You bought
and
us
keeping
a homeless person's version of a house. You bought it for us. So
you bought us, the homeless people's.
Yes, you bought us our house. You bought us the closest thing to a house that a homeless person has besides a car and a tent, and a constant string of hotels. So thank you. Anyways, anime
forever. I can't wait to watch more anime.